Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Legacy Doomsday video. I am Scott, and today we are going to be playing a Turbo Doomsday deck that is purely Dimir, purely blue-black, that I put together. This list is pretty similar in a way to the one that I played at Eternal Weekend. We obviously don't have access to Vexing Bauble in the format anymore, and so the sideboard has been changed. And I also decided to cut back off of the four Street Wraiths in the main deck back down to two. This is in part because of the return of Lightning Bolt to the format. I don't know that I still want to be on the full six cyclers now that we are worried about Grixis and Teamer and Izzet tempo decks rather than just blue-black tempo decks, which don't punish you as hard with the card Lightning Bolt. So we're back down to two Street Wraiths. We still have the two Edge of Autumns. And then those two Street Wraiths basically just became two additional Lotus Petals, which were initially in the sideboard of my Eternal Weekend deck. And then Spoils of the Vault was replaced with Ponder just to up our blue count slightly more to support Force of Will and also four more copies of Force of Negation in the sideboard. We have a very standard mana base here with 4 Underground Seas, Undercity Sewers, Island, and Swamp as our fetchable sources, and then 8 fetch lands, including 1 black fetch land, which gives us another way to get basic Swamp, and rounded out with the 1 of Cavern of Souls, which obviously gives us the uncounterable oracles after Doomsday. Other than that, this list is very, very stock. We're on 3 Cabal Rituals instead of 2, 4 Dark Rituals, the full suite of Lotus Petals, Lion's Eye Diamond, 8 copies of Doomsday with the 4 additional personal tutors, full suite of cantrips, 2 Thought Seizes for disruption, and 7 free interaction spells in the main deck in the form of Force of Will and Daze. So this is a very, very quick list. We're trying to put Doomsday on the stack as soon as possible, ideally with some form of protection, and get down to a Thassa's Oracle. As far as the sideboard's concerned, this is where the, I guess, biggest innovations were from my Eternal Weekend list, which is basically Kai Sawatari's list. So here we have, let's see, 4 copies of Force of Negation in the sideboard. I've noticed a lot of Chalice of the Void in the format in the post-ban world. A lot of decks that were using Vexing Bauble have been replacing that bauble with Chalice of the Void. That card can be a bit of a nuisance to play against, as you know that we have a bunch, 19 1-drops in our deck in total, and some of those are really what facilitate the fast Doomsday wins. Turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday, utilizing Brainstorm as a part of your Doomsday pile. It is obviously still possible to win the game if a Chalice on 1 has resolved. That's another reason why we have 3 Cabal Rituals as a way to play through Chalice of the Void and get a Doomsday on the stack. But still, we really don't want to play against Chalice, and so I wanted the full suite of Force of Negations to fight against that card. And then Force of Negation is, of course, also doubly good because it's great against combo decks and things of that sort. I like to fight Consigned to Memories with discard. So here we have 2 Duresses and another Thoughtseize. This lets us go up to 5 discard spells in the main deck. They're very good at knocking a Consigned to Memory out of our opponent's hand or testing to see if the route is clear. Pre-Doomsday, I've opted for a 2-1 split here because I wanted a third Thoughtseize since it hits cards like Endurance as well, so creature hate via discard. And then the Duresses are nice against decks like Delver because it gives us a way to strip a consign from our opponent's hand without needing to pay 2 life, as with Thoughtseize. We've also got access to a single copy of Flusterstorm, another nice way to fight or battle against a Consigned to Memory, also great against combo decks, and Delver of Secrets as well. It can help a Doomsday resolve. We've got a copy of Metamorphose taken from Wonder Pro's recent technology. Instead of putting a basic island in the sideboard like I had at Eternal Weekend, I thought I might try Manamorphose. I think this is really, really cool. You can use the Manamorphose to filter the red mana from a Blood Moon into 2 blue mana, and then draw actually the Thassa's Oracle off of the Manamorphose. So it actually gets you to the Oracle a bit quicker than having a second basic island in your pile might otherwise. I've spoken about Nihil Spellbomb before in the Esper video, but I do like this card as a way to both fight against cards like Endurance and also as a good card against Reanimator, Dredge, that sort of nonsense. We've got a copy of Jace Wielder of Mysteries in the sideboard. I still like how this card plays against Kozilek's Command. I like how it plays in combo mirrors, and it's also just a nice value engine sometimes. So I like having access to Jace Wielder of Mysteries. I'm not sure that we're going to be boarding it in much against red Delver decks because of Pyroblast, but it's still worthwhile putting in our deck, I believe, particularly as a way to stop Kozilek's Command. And it also gives us the really nice tool to make the Stifle Knot matchup playable. Finally, the Vexing Baubles have become 4 copies of Barrogoyf. I don't know if this is the proper way to go about fighting tempo. My inclination is that if we want, or my thought is that if we want Barrogoyfs in our deck, we might also want cards like Fatal Push, but then I don't want to dilute the sideboard too much by getting both removal and creatures in. So like we don't want to cut Force of Negations for Fatal Pushes or something like that. I think we really want these 4 forces for combo and Chalice in particular. But Barrogoyf is a nice card to kind of drop onto the battlefield out of a Dark Ritual or a Lotus Petal, or turn 2 off 2 lands and a Lotus Petal um, in the post-board matchups against Delver. And notably with this sideboard plan against Delver, we're not actually going to be boarding out of the Doomsday. We're actually just going to run 4 Doomsdays and 4 Barrogoyfs in the main deck. We'll trim down on some Force of Wills in that matchup to avoid 2-for-1ing ourselves. We'll cut some number of personal tutors. So instead of having 8 copies of Doomsday, like we do in the main deck, you end up with 4 copies of Doomsday, or maybe 6 copies. I think I'll leave in 2 personal tutors in the matchup. And 4 copies of Barrogoyf as heavy hitters. And so you can kind of pivot between modalities post-board with the option of either presenting Barrogoyfs for your opponent to try to grind through, or presenting Doomsdays. So yeah, we're gonna hop into the league here in a second. I actually recorded the first game earlier today, and I wasn't initially intending on recording, but then I thought, wow, this match was pretty sweet, and so I wanted to share that with you. So we're going to start off with a really quick replay here, and then we're going to hop into games 2 to 5, and we'll play those matches live, like we did in the last video. But I thought we would examine this first game before we get on to the live matches. So we're on the play here against an unknown opponent. We open what I take to be a very, very good hand. We have Force of Will, Pitch Brainstorm. We have Brainstorm to help with the pile. And we also have Cabal Ritual and Doomsday. So this is the kind of hand that can actually just let a Chalice of the Void resolve on turn 1. We can just go Cabal Ritual, Doomsday, and then Oracle costs 2 mana using this Force of Will to stop like a threat that might pressure a life total, for example. We also have access to double fetch land, which is my favorite way to start when you also have Cabal Ritual. If these were 2 Underground Seas, our hand would be prone to Wasteland, but in this case we actually get to present Polluted Delta, play around Thoughtseize with Brainstorm if we need to, but preferably just to surveil in the end step into a turn 2 Cabal Ritual Doomsday with Force of Will backup. And so we're going to lead here on Flooded Strand, representing a blue-white deck. You know, Polluted Delta is the most common land in Legacy right now, but if we have the opportunity to lead on Flooded Strand or a non-Delta land, it's probably correct to do so. Very, very slim advantage, if any, but it's worth pointing out that there are actually choices to be made, even though these are like functionally the same card. They both get the Underground Sea or Under City Sewers. We are also playing a game of science here. I am the semiotician, and we want to represent to our opponent that we might not be playing black by showing them this flooded strand. So our opponent takes a strand of their own. They're going to fetch, grab Volcanic Island, and play a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Just a brief note to say, like, look at this. As a Doomsday player, I'm not happy with Lightning Bolt returning to the format, but I've been playing Legacy for a while, and I kind of miss these Volcanic Island Dragon's Rage Channeler starts. I'm happy that we're back in a format where red is a more viable strategy. They got everything they want as a Delver player here. Turn one Volcanic Island Dragon's Rage Channeler into Mishra's Bauble, start the Surveil train. So that's very, very good for our opponent. But we will see how to carve this pig. EOT, I'm going to pick up an Undercity Sewers. And the Undercity Sewers reveals Thassa's Oracle. I thought this was an interesting decision. So we're playing against a blue deck. Ideally, we want to present a Thassa's Oracle at the end of our Doomsday pile that's coming through a Cavern of Souls, but sometimes that's easier said than done, right? Especially when there's already an onboard threat, they have 5 cards in hand, some of which could be Lightning Bolts to pressure our life total. And so I actually decide to keep the Oracle on top of my deck because it's one fewer card I then need to put into my pile on the following turn. If this Doomsday resolves, we're probably going to have to go Force Pitch blue card in order to put it on the sack, and that will leave our hand with just being Brainstorm Thassa's Oracle. But I kind of liked keeping the Oracle on top, and that is what I decided to do. Just one less thing to worry about. I mean, they could be on Grixis with Thoughtseize, but I don't think it's common for even Grixis Delver to play main deck Thoughtseize, so I'm not too concerned about the Oracle getting Thoughtseize out of my hand when I'm making these decisions either. So here comes the Polluted Delta. We're going to pick up another Underground Sea. We could have gotten a basic island here, but my thought is that next turn, Thassa's Oracle is going on the stack through a cavern. They've already used one of their 2 possible land drops this game, and it was not for a wasteland. So even if they wasteland us here, we can still play like that. We're not going to not be able to play Oracle next turn, is what I'm trying to say. And if they don't wasteland us, then we also have a Force of Will to protect against a Daze post-Doomsday. So I go for the Cabal Therapy ritual here. I put the Doomsday on the stack. We just can't afford to wait in this spot. We've got our pitch spell. They've got an onboard threat. A turn 2 Doomsday is exactly what we want to be doing. We want to be winning the game on turn 3. So we've got the Oracle in hand, and I know for my pile here, I just end up taking Cavern and a bunch of Cyclers. But I actually... Whoa, Magic Online. Sorry. I actually decided to set 2 Street Wraiths just on the bottom of the deck. I didn't want to force myself to have to cycle through Street Wraiths in order to get to the cavern. Because if I cycle through the Street Wraiths, I'm dead to a Lightning Bolt pointing to my face. And if I don't cycle through the Street Wraiths, the bolt can point at the Oracle instead. But I wanted to hedge against needing to taking a bunch of unnecessary damage here. And so the pile was Edge of Autumn, Cavern, Street Wraith, and those 2 Street Wraiths are just blank cards. So they do get a Delirious Channeler. They come in at us for 3. We're gonna fall to 6 here. They fetch. They deploy Delver of Secrets. So now they're tapped down, which is nice. Don't have to worry about Pyroblast or Lightning Bolt. We draw Edge for turn. We're going to cycle some edges. Draw a Cavern. Present an uncounterable Oracle with 2 cards left in our deck. And that is game 1. Let's quickly review game 2. really quick. I decided to cut all 4 Force of Wills, cut some personal tutors. I cut 1 Street Wraith because, again, paying 2 life to cycle is not always the best, but having one is sometimes good. And then I also cut a Thassa's Oracle because we often don't have time against Delver to set up a double Oracle pile. Brought in some discard, a Flusterstorm, and 4 copies of Barrogoyf as a little juke action for our opponent. But yeah, so the first hand we see here is an Undercity Sewers hand. God, Undercity Sewers, great magic card. I think it's obviously worth playing, but these sorts of things do suck when it's the only land in your opening hand. Don't think I can keep this against Delver. They're on the play. If they play a threat, I untap, play Undercity Sewers, and they wasteland me, and they're like Delver flips. We're just not playing Magic this game. So I mulligan this hand in favor of another one. And this hand I don't think is great, but it's still like fine. I keep it, and we bottom the Thassa's Oracle here. Don't really need that card in our hand. We've got 2 lands, we've got a Daze, Brainstorm, Edge of Autumn to crack into the pile, and a Doomsday. Our opponent goes, I think, turn 1 Delver this time. Yeah, just very good at presenting exactly what they need to present to stop us. Oh yeah, we draw Dark Ritual for turn, which is such a sweet draw. I'm pretty happy with the way that this one shakes out. So we're gonna go here for a Underground Sea. Importantly, an Underground Sea for pile purposes. We're gonna put a Dark Ritual Doomsday on the stack. I'm just gonna shoot my shot right here. My opponent's tapped out. They've got a Delver of Secrets in play. So they can't pay for Daze. And if I can Daze a Force here and they don't have 2 Forces, I'm feeling pretty good because then our Underground Sea is even protected from a possible Wasteland on our opponent's next turn to try to set us back. So we actually have the ability here where we actually actively want to Daze because we can set up then a pile that can't be affected by Wasteland and beats Consigned to Memory. So let's see what such a pile looks like. I put Doomsday on the stack here, and they have the Force of Will. So Force of Will pitch Counterbalance. Counterbalance is a pretty good card, but we don't have to worry about it anymore because this game's going to be over and it's exiled. So we Force of Will on the Doomsday, which will then prompt our Daze. Daze is going to come in and stop the Force. Opponent cannot pay because they played their Delver. And we gotta hope they don't have 2 pieces of interaction. They do not have 2 pieces of interaction. And now we have to construct a Doomsday pile. So our opponent's down to 2 cards. They didn't present a second Force of Will. The thing we're not worried about Wasteland because Underground Sea is already in our hand. The card I'm thinking about here that could get us is Consigned to Memory. We need to build a pile that beats Consigned to Memory and maybe beats something else too. Our opponent's going to have 4 cards on their next turn because they're going to draw up to 3 and they're going to draw off this Mishra's Bauble. The pile that I decide to make, we're going to go to 9. If they flip the Delver, we're going to take 3 down to 6. If they have a Bolt, we would be at 3. So we don't necessarily want to incorporate too many Street Wraiths. Thankfully, we've only got 1 left in the deck. But our other one's an Edge of Autumn. We're only going to have access to 1 land next turn. So I kind of dink around with different piles here. I first start with a pile that wants to like pass the turn twice using like Duress plus Cavernous Souls somehow, but I end up deciding that that's probably not the best course of action, that we want to win next turn. The question was whether we can win next turn by also taking a consign or counterspell out of our opponent's hand. We can beat one or the other, we can't beat both. I don't think next turn. And I decide to go for the quicker pile that only beats one of 2 possible things, being counter magic or consign. So I take Duress, I take Thassa's Oracle, I take Lion's Eye Diamond, and I take Lotus Petal. And so my thought here is that we're going to draw Duress for turn. We're going to play Underground Sea. We're going to cast Duress, target our opponent, and take their consign. Then we're going to cycle Edge of Autumn, sacrificing our Underground Sea, picking up Lotus Petal. I'll deploy the Lotus Petal, play Brainstorm, and then draw LED, Street Wraith, Thassa's Oracle, put back Polluted Delta with Oracle on top of it, and then cycle into Thassa for the win. And that is just what we do. So our opponent cracks their bauble. They see the Duress that's on top of our deck. They're probably thinking we're going to have to pass the turn twice, though. So I think actually they don't know. I doubt they know how explosive we can potentially be, given that we have Brainstorm plus Cycler in hand. And so I feel like their bauble there tells them that I'm taking a slow pile that might have to pass the turn 2 times, when in fact that is not the case at all. Their Delver doesn't flip. They're going to crack in for 1, putting me to 8. Play out a second Volcanic Island, and then because they probably think I'm on this slow pile, they deploy a Dragon's Rage Channeler. They pass the turn with 2 cards in hand. If it's Daze plus Consign, good for you, opponent. But if it's either Daze or Consign or Force, this is exactly where we want to be. Duress our opponent. They have the Consign to memory. We take the Consign to memory. We cycle our Edge of Autumn. Pick up Lotus Petal. Play Lotus Petal. Cast Brainstorm. Draw the rest of our deck. Polluted Delta on the bottom. Oracle on top of it. Lion's Eye Diamond. Cycle Street Wraith. Hold priority. Draw Thassa's Oracle. Put Thassa's Oracle onto the stack. And that was the game. A nice, clean, imperfect Oracle with our opponent's hand checked. This is just what we want to be doing, right? And so this just shows that, like, you know, if your Doomsday deck is fast enough, you don't need Barrowgoyf. You can still just power through your opponent's threats like this. Using oracles, but I think having access to the Barrowgoyfs is kind of nice, because you could just as easily have imagined a situation where we had access to a really, really quick Barrowgoyf there and not Doomsday, and that would have been good at blanking the consign that our opponent had in their hand and racing the 2 threats that they were actually able to deploy. So Doomsday definitively got it done in this spot. There was obviously still, like, we could have screwed up the pile, and that would have been bad for us. I actually quite like the pile that I ended up making for that spot. I mean, it worked out well, obviously, in hindsight. Maybe there's safer ways to even go about that, but you definitely do have the tools to beat Delver. And so I wanted to show this replay really quick, and now we're going to hop into matches 2 to 5, and I'll be playing those out live, as they say. All right, everybody, it's a new dawn and a new day, and we are here for round number 2. We're on the draw here, and this hand looks pretty nice. We've got Dark Ritual Doomsday with a fetch land. We've got Consider, Brainstorm, and Edge of Autumn. So depending on what our opponent represents, they could just be dead on turn 1 here. Let's hope they don't play a blue land, I guess. No, there's a blue land. Okay, opponent hasn't done anything. Do we just jam? I kind of don't mind it. We've got this Brainstorm, a bunch of other ways to start filtering our hand. I'm going to crack this Flooded Strand. I'm going to pick up an Underground Sea. I'm going to cast a Dark Ritual and put a Doomsday on the stack. Unprotected. We'll see what happens here. I'm expecting this to get countered, but it is game one. They have no idea what we're playing. I'm here to put it on the stack if we can put it on the stack. Here comes a fetch land for an underground sea. Do they have a daze? They're going to brainstorm. Okay. Let's hope this brainstorm fails. Look at that zoomed in art. Crazy. Let's hope this brainstorm does not give them the cards that they're looking for and that we could just cycle edge into a Lotus Petal and win the game. Feel like if they let this resolve, the path is clear for us. They let it resolve. Do we go for it? We could also play like a slower hand. Then we need to contend with cards like Wasteland. What if they're playing Doomsday? They let the Doomsday resolve, though. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. Let's go Street Wraith, Lotus Petal. Maybe this is just like unnecessarily risky. Considers in hand. Brainstorms in hand. We have the Lotus Petal. Maybe this is just silly. I'm here for it. Oracle on the bottom, Street Wraith on top, Street Wraith, Lion's Eye Diamond, Lotus Petal, Cycle Edge. They appear to be F6'd, so this bodes well for us. Street Wraith into the graveyard, draw Thassa's Oracle, play Thassa's Oracle. Trigger on the stack. That's how she did it. Yeah, I mean, we could have made a slower pile, but then we opened ourselves up to cards like Wasteland, um, and also like Thoughtseize. So a number of things our opponent could have presented there. The fact that they just like cast their brainstorm, they shot their shot, they didn't counter the Doomsday, and so we're just going to put them to the test there. The question is, what are they playing? We only saw an underground sea and a brainstorm, so they could be on Doomsday themselves. They could also be on blue-black tempo or blue-black reanimator. The nice thing is that these discard spells and Flusterstorm are equally as good against Doomsday as they are against tempo. So I'm kind of into bringing in some extra discard. The question is like whether we want the Barrogoyfs or not. Um, and that is not 100% clear to me. They could be a Thoughtseize deck. We're definitely going to trim on 2 personal tutors here. I could see cutting a Cabal Ritual. Not every Doomsday list plays the straight 3. I want to keep all my forces here to hedge against our opponent possibly being on Doomsday themselves. I could do the classic Scott move of just cutting a Ponder, but I'm not sure if that's actually advisable or not. What does our blue count look like? That's one thing that I really botched in the last video, that I cut down on blue cards frequently and we just didn't have enough for force. So we're already cutting some number of blue cards. You could trim the Oracle. They are Thoughtseize deck. Could be problematic. We could also bring in Jace. How do we feel about Jace? Kind of don't mind having a Jace. And then maybe we do want to trim a ponder. Could trim basic swamp. But then I've already cut a land. Or a mana source, sorry, not a land. Let's see what the gens is playing here. We can adjudicate then on the Barrogoyfs for the following turn. Here we are cutting lands and getting access to the Stone Cold Nuts if we were to have a land. Well, we can't really keep this hand. I mean, we are in the draw. We do get 2 looks off a Street Wraith, whereas if we like find a land, we get to go Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Thoughtseize, Doomsday. Oh, this hand is so sweet, but also a little risky. Kind of into this hand. We'll keep it. We'll put Lion's Eye Diamond on the bottom, holding Jace as a pitch card to force. We'll see what our opponent wants to do here. Scalding Tarn. Pass. Okay. We just draw the natural Doomsday. Well, we don't really want to go personal tuting now. We could personal tutor for a Thoughtseize, but I kind of just want to surveil. Try to find like a Dark Ritual or a Cabal Ritual here. They're probably going for an Undercity Sewers in their end step, I would imagine. Yep. Got an Underground Sea, and they're just passing the turn. I'm getting heavy Doomsday vibes from my opponent here. Getting heavy Doomsday vibes from my opponent. Duress. Very happy with that. I'm just going to keep it on top. I want to know what's going on over there. Let's see what they're cooking with. Something tells me it's Doomsday. And if it is Doomsday, we might actually personal tutor for Thoughtseize here. We'll see. Kind of wish I didn't cut that swamp. If they fight over this with like hard cast days, pitch cast days, Flusterstorm, so this is Doomsday. Okay. Well, we got a Force of Will playing around days here, so I'm just gonna let this resolve. We're gonna ship the turn back to our opponent, and we're gonna Force of Will them. Ideally. Okay. So yeah, this Flusterstorm tells me that they are playing Doomsday. And they're just passing. Okay. Draw another Doomsday, which does not help us. Gosh. Yeah. I'm gonna hold this personal tutor. Like if there's a way we can get this Jason to play, if they have to like make a pass the turn pile, we're really just looking for lands here. Let's see. I don't love our spot, to be totally honest. They got in the end step Orcish Bowmasters. If I force this, then we're dead to Doomsday. I kind of don't want to play against this card. I feel like we're going to need to be doing some cantripping here. I'm going to fire the force on this Bowmasters. They've got a force pitch days. Okay. Orcish Bowmasters resolves. Entomb. Traxa. Is this a reanimate? Go to the next game. Gotta hope this doesn't reveal the goods. So they're gonna take Consign, Underground Sea, Troll of Khazad-dûm, Ponder, and Consign to Memory, and now there's just no way that we can possibly win this game. Take 2, go to 15. Draw a card for turn. They've got an Orcish Bowmasters out. Next turn we're taking 9, going to 6. And then Brainstorm puts us to 3. I'm going to fire this Brainstorm into the face of a Bowmasters. I feel like we're pretty dead here. Put back Doomsday. And Jace. Yeah. But we might have been able to actually make a Jace pile there, which is pretty sweet. We want the Nil Spell Bomb. The question is if we want some number of Barrowglyphs in this matchup or not. Ooh. Do we want some number of Barrowglyphs? I kind of just want to fight them on the pure Doomsday axis, to be totally honest. We bring in this Nil Spell Bomb. Maybe we want to bring a personal tutor back in. I'm happy to be on 1 Oracle. I want to keep all the forces. It's possible we could cut an edge, but we might need the edges to fight through an Orcish Bowmasters. Take that back out. We're on the play, so Daze seems good. Cutting Lotus Petal doesn't seem that advisable to me. Do we even want Nil Spell Bomb? It's probably not a bad idea to bring it in. I mean, they are playing Reanimator after all. The question is just like, what don't we want? Could just be a Cabal Ritual, maybe a Lotus Petal. Just go in like this. The die roll. We'd like to play first here. Again, yeah, we just can't be cutting basic Swamp. This is not good. For a mulligan. This hand seems fine. I think we put Cabal Ritual onto the bottom. And I think I want to lead with Ponder. So we're going to go Underground Sea. We're going to cast Ponder here. I don't mind these cards. We are looking for Doomsday, obviously. But this will give a pretty good amount of things for our opponent to fight through. Maybe we can grind them down a little bit, like Daze and Entomb in their end step. We would love Thoughtseize our opponent here. They're going to Fluster it again. I mean, I'll trade a Thoughtseize for a Flusterstorm. We don't even lose 2 life. Swamp Cycling Troll of Khazad-dûm in response. Not much we can say about that. The Consign to Memory, Animate Dead, Daze, Reanimate. The Consign's going to be annoying to beat in the long run, but I kind of want to start picking through their payoffs. I don't want this troll to hit the battlefield here. And so I'm going to take the reanimate. Hopefully this will chart them into animate deading our animate deading the troll, and then we can daze it and play around their daze. They're going to daze back. Sure, we won't under city sewers then. Let's pay for days. They drew a second daze. I don't know that we're in a position to fight this troll. It just presents a really fast clock for us, so a lot of counter spells. Indeed, opponent, indeed. So now they're sitting on a consign. We find Ponder. Ponder's excellent. They also have no lands, which is sweet. Like, we want to hit Doomsday so bad here. Oh, wow. Kind of want Flusterstorm. I think we just take the tutor, though. Go for the personal tutor, put the Doomsday on top of the deck, and pass the turn. Redeploy a swamp. Cast Dark Ritual, cast Doomsday. It resolves. Now, how do we beat the consign to memory? Whew. Well, there's no way we can put Jace on the stack next turn. Unfortunately. So I think what I'm going to do here, we're going to untap, draw duress our opponent. So we're going to put duress on the bottom, cavern on top of duress, Thassa's Oracle, Street Wraith, duress, and we'll pass the turn here. If they have double consign, that's going to really hurt us. Oh no. Oh no, we're dead. The Street Wraith. No. Take 6, go to 2. Yeah. GG's, opponent. That sucks. Yeah, so I think that the main thing I should have done differently there was put Street Wraith, or sorry, Edge of Autumn into the pile instead of Street Wraith, but that kind of screwed up the long game potential with that pile where we want to go into like a possible cavern with an additional duress to beat a second consign. So we kind of needed the Street Wraith in a way, but yeah, them just being able to top deck like any of their 6 remaining reanimation spells to put that troll into play puts a lot of pressure onto our life total, and I don't know, that was a tough spot. Uh, and blue black reanimator is a hard matchup. The other option I guess would have been to like take something like the Flusterstorm before the personal tutor, but then we would have had to pass the turn, draw personal tutor, and then pass the turn again to get access to our Doomsday. The second days that our opponent top decked there was really good for them at drawing the excess cards out of our hand because we had to force pitch force, and then that put us to no cards with the Doomsday. Whereas if we had even one card in our hand, we might have been able to do something with Brainstorm into Jace on the following turn to beat the consign. Uh, but but yeah, it didn't turn out that way. Opponent's deck is filled to the brim with reanimating threats and also consigned to memories. So c'est la vie. We'll press on to the next match and see if we can tighten up a little bit. All right, welcome to round number 3 against Matt. That name looks familiar. This might be a Doomsday player. I don't know. I don't know if it's just that I've seen this name on Magic Online before, or if I've seen it on the Doomsday Discord. Um, they're on the play. If they are playing Doomsday, we do have Force Pitch Oracle. We've got Ponder plus Brainstorm to dig us deep and 3 lands. I'll keep this hand. We'll see what happens here. Misty Rainforest pass. We draw Dark Ritual. That's a very nice pickup. Um, so we could cast Ponder here, but then if they have Dark Ritual Doomsday plus Daze, they beat our Force of Will. So why don't we just match them a fetch land? Not even bother casting our Ponder and just passing the turn here. We can still surveil in their end step. And then next turn we can like Ponder looking for Thoughtseize plus Doomsday or something to that effect. Comes a second fetch land. They're passing. I wonder if this is just a known Doomsday Mirror. Let's grab Undercity Sewers tapped. Surveil 1 in our opponent's end step. I guess we'll give up the biscuit here by putting Cabal Ritual into our graveyard. That's just not the card we're looking for. We've already got this Dark Ritual. There's a Brainstorm. So we could go Brainstorm now. Try to fix up our hand a little bit. Pick up Doomsday. That's a really nice pickup. We might not need this basic swamp. I don't think I want to put Doomsday on the stack right now. I would ideally like to do it next turn, I think. And so we could put back Ponder. We could also just hide Doomsday on top of the deck to protect against Thoughtseize. Or we could put back this Thassa's Oracle. Kind of don't mind having access to the Oracle. The question is, are we going to play Ponder? I think we don't play Ponder for the same reason as last turn. We could just put back 2 lands. Fetch and then Ponder. I might actually do that, honestly. Just keep all of this gas. Grab an Underground Sea, put a Ponder on the stack. Bring Force of Will into our hand. Pass the turn. So next turn, we could draw a Cavern, put Dark Ritual Doomsday on the stack, and then cycle down to the second Oracle, having double Force of Will backup. Let's see. I assume they're going to go for a Surveil land here, or maybe a Brainstorm into a Surveil in the end step. Yep. I assume this is going to be for the Undercity Sewers, dig them another card deep. I like our spot here. If they go for a combo, we've got double force. They're going to have to be double Force of Will and win on the same turn. And we've got a pretty nice route to victory next turn, just like set up in our hand with the Cavern on top, especially. Tropical Island. Veil of Summer could ruin our day here. Here's a Personal Tutor. To pass the turn. So now they've got Doomsday on top of their deck. We're going to draw Cavern. I'm going to make my move here. Veil of Summer. Very not good. But yeah, let's see what happens. Wow, Doomsday just resolves. What could they have to stop us? Let's build a pile. Cycle Edge. Cycle Edge. Cycle Street Wraith. Oh, why is this days here? We're not going to use this days. Let's play Wizard. Crack this for an uncounterable blue. Cycle. 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 And they're scooping it up. All right. Doomsday Mirror. What do we want for a Doomsday Mirror? We've got a bunch of nice cards here. Duress, Flusterstorm, Force of Negation, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and Thoughtseize, and we could even bring in the Barrogoyfs too somehow, but don't know if we can fit all of those in. The fact that they're playing green means that they're going to have Veil of Summers, so our discard plan's going to be kind of dangerous. We'll have to be very careful with how we're discarding. We can cut an edge, I think. Cut some number of Cabal Rituals and Lotus Petals, as well as a couple of Personal Tutors. I don't know that we need double Oracle, especially if we're bringing Jason. And then we just need one more card. I think we can go down to just 2 Cyclers here. Just have one of each in case they have Bowmasters. Just board in, become like a kind of hyper control deck. We've got 8 Force of Wills, 3 Dazes, 5 discard spells, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, Flusterstorm. And this list looks pretty tight. Barrogoyf could be tough for them to deal with, but like What are we cutting to put Barrowglyphs into the deck? Cut another Lotus Petal. Just like slow down a little bit. I don't mind bringing in some number of Barrowglyphs here, but I'm gonna run it like this first, see what's happening. Um, and and yeah, we're on the draw here. Got another double Force of Will hand, being very mindful of Veil of Summer here. I'm gonna keep this one. We're a Dark Ritual away from glory. They're leading on Thoughtseize. Yep. They might just take Doomsday, and I wouldn't mind if they did. Yeah, they're kind of a long shot away from Doomsday anyways. Here we'll draw Dark Ritual, of course, but no. Okay. Love Daze as a pickup here. Brainstorm can help fix our hand, or at least alter it around a little bit. Opponent's playing Ponder. Ponder's totally fine. We're going to go for Undercity Sewers in the end step. Do we want a Dark Ritual? Yeah, I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. It's going to pair really nicely with Doomsday. I'm going to fire a Brainstorm here. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Dark Ritual with Edge of Autumn on top. Play Cavern of Souls. Name Wizard. And ship the turn. Opponent's going to go for maybe an Undercity Sewers here in the end step. They're going to have to figure out how to fight through double force. Then we've got Daze as well. This Undercity Sewers is super unfortunate. That Brainstorm missing. It's crazy. Ooh, an Underground Mortuary. I wonder if they're trying out the Wonder Pro list with Experimental Frenzies in the sideboard. The bright side about this match is a Doomsday player is going to win it. You know, so you never really feel bad about losing to Doomsday. Because Doomsday won. The double Surveil action. Do we want to fire a Brainstorm? We're at 7 cards. I'm just going to pass. So now we have Hardcast, Daze, Daze, Force, Force. Let's see, there's a Brainstorm. Brainstorm's totally fine. They're going to go down to 5 cards here after their Brainstorm resolves. They've already got a fetch in play. They're starting to get to a critical mass of mana, though, that I really don't like. No way. Hardcast Doomsday. Let's return. How many dazes do they have in their hand? They're definitely going to daze this. The question is if this is what they want us to do. Like, are we actually supposed to just cast Force of Will here? The hardcast daze is too tempting for me. So they didn't know that we had this daze either. Great. Okay. Sorry, I thought that they knew that we had the daze, but we drew the daze the turn after they thought seized us. Now we're going to fire another Brainstorm. We're just getting mighty brainstorm locked here. Yikes. No reason, I think, not to play out this pedal here. Gives us some extra equity to pay for cards like Daze. We have 2 Dark Rituals on top of our deck. I would love a Jace Wielder of Mysteries about now. Here comes the Thoughtseize. We let it go. Taking Force of Will. That checks out. Can we risk passing again? I think we pass again. I just want to get full value off of this brainstorm. We've still got like Dark Ritual, Hardcast, Force of Will. I'm hoping this is just a lot for them to fight through. This green mana really scares me. Okay, good. They're coming back. Draw another Dark Ritual. Let's hope this brainstorm delivers some goods. Is this the one they're going to force? Oh, there's the Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Jace Wielder of Mysteries is not too shabby here. Let's hide that on top of our deck. I could have Dark Rituals out of Street Wraith here too. That actually would have been pretty sweet. Another Thoughtseize. Is this where we lose? I imagine Doomsday is going on the stack here. What was that, sorry? Cycle Edge of Autumn. Okay. Okay. What if I ponder into Dark Ritual and just play Street Wraith here? No. That cycled edge was really, really weird. Shuffle off Ponder. Play out that. Cast Dark Ritual. Fetch this for an Underground Sea. And then cast a Street Wraith. Street Wraith's in. They've got to have a Veil of Summer, right? They've seen so many cards. Turns out that turn 1 Thoughtseize on this Doomsday like really set us back. We'll find a Doomsday eventually, but we might just be on the Street Wraith beatdown plan. This Daze is just not looking good at all for us anymore because they have so much mana. We might have to Hail Mary and Edge of Autumn into a Force of Will. But there's only 2 forces left in our deck. Suppose we could also hit Flusterstorm. Let's see what they end up doing. Brainstorm's not the kind of card you want to see from a spot like this. Really gotta hope that our opponent doesn't find what they're looking for. But yeah, they did a really, really good job of running us out of resources there using these Thoughtseizes. We didn't see a single Thoughtseize. We had all interactive stuff. I mean, they have to have a ritual for the Doomsday, or they're gonna have to blow a force. Basically, we want them to tap down. This is gonna give them triple black, which is gonna make the days really bad. So I think now's our spot to daze, and we gotta hope that we're taking them off blue mana here to pay for the days, and then they're gonna have to pass the turn, and then maybe, just maybe, we can get them with a Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Here comes 5 black mana. I mean, they could also be playing cards like Night's Whisper. There's Doomsday. We really hope that they have to pass the turn here. That's all. I could have fired this Edge, but now that I've returned this Undercity Sewers to my hand, we can't even play Jace if I do, so yeah, if they have like another Brainstorm in hand and a Cycler, they can cycle for the Petal to kill us. Nice thing here is we get to see how they sideboarded. We are going to go to 6, and we do have a Street Wraith in play to pressure their life total too. I don't know, like, it's possible they have to go for like an edge Thassa pile. In which case, if we Jace mill them, we just mill them straight to Thassa's Oracle. But we have to hope that they needed to do something wonky with their pile because of Street Wraith. I suppose if they were also playing Unearth, there might be a line here where they can... Because what happened to their Undercity Sewers? That's just back in their hand. Oh no, it's in the graveyard. They cycled it to Edge. So... 1, 2, 3. They have a Force of Will. Maybe in their hand. They are playing Veil of Summers. Looks like all 4 Veils are accounted for. Commandeer. Oh, match. This is a match made in heaven. They are passing the turn. They're going to force my Jace, but we got to hope that this... I mean, they have to win the turn, win the game next turn. Oh, we draw Force of Negation? That would have been... Oh, wow, I could have actually cycled the Edge into a Force of Negation here. So... Yeah, let's surveil Thoughtseize. Is Thoughtseizing our opponent, or Force of like we could Thoughtseize and have Force of Negation? Is that better than Jace? It might be better than Jace. Yeah, I'm gonna keep Thoughtseize on top of my library. I'm gonna sack this Edge of Autumn. I'm gonna Thoughtseize my opponent. What if they force? Oh wow, Commandeer. Commandeer on Jace would have been the funniest thing ever. I'm sorry, match. That would have been so awesome if they commandeered my Jace and won with it. Wow. I guess I take Force of Will, and then Force of Negation their Ponder, and hope that's enough. Let's attack with Street Wraith. Put them to 3. Hmm. I really hope that they have to cast Ponder here, but it looks like we might have got him. Fawn on the Ponder. Man, GG's. That was a really, really tight spot. Oh, I wish they could have commandeered my Jace. That would have been so great for the video. I would have rather them commandeered my Jace and won than me win this match. Oh man. Okay. Look at that. We are back at 2-1, having lost the tight match against Reanimator. Um, but yeah, let's see what shakes out here for round number 4. We'll be back in a second. All right. Welcome to round number 4. We are on the draw. We've got a turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday, which is great. And we've also got cantrips to find another Doomsday if things fall through. Let's see what happens. What's our opponent playing? What will they do? They're on a mulligan to 6, which bodes well for us. It means that if they play a land, and then Force of Will or Doomsday, they'll only have like 3 cards left in their hand. If this Ponder was a Spoils of the Vault, that'd be really cool. Because then we could go Dark Ritual Doomsday, Spoils into Petal or something. Oh no. Cephalid Coliseum. So they're playing Blue Dredge. Golgari Thug Poxwalkers to the bin. Cycler. Manifest a Cycler, please. Another Doomsday. Okay, if I put Doomsday on the stack right now, which I think I should do, how do we beat this Cephalid Coliseum? There's got to be a way, I would imagine. I'm going to go for a Flooded Strand, fetch for Underground Sea. Play Dark Ritual. Play Doomsday. Think we're going to need 2 oracles here. I'm just thinking, like, we need to be able to win next turn. If they don't play a blue producing land, we have to be able to win next turn. And so, how do we win next turn? Through a Cephalid Coliseum activation? Cephalid Coliseum is very problematic. This Golgari Thug does only dredge 4, which will put them to 6. So, and they could also have Creeping Chill in their deck. which would be really sad. We've got these brainstorms and ponders though. The pile that I'm envisioning here is just like not utilizing our hand at all. But we do have a second Doomsday. Interesting. I could see a world where we actually cast Doomsday again. Just put 2 Street Race into the pile. Something to this effect. Where we go Oracle, Cavern, Oracle Wraith. I'm going to hope that they're not able to threshold, but maybe that is super wishful thinking. Oh, they're activating the Colosseum. They're playing Breakthrough. Yeah? They just whiff on... Okay. They just tried to go all in. And now they don't have a hand. We'll play an Oracle. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, Cephalid Coliseum is a very hard card to play around. It wasn't guaranteed that they were going to be able to hit Threshold, so I think I like the pile that we made there. But the game does get a little precarious because we might have to end up casting Doomsday a second time to beat the Cavern in that spot. In any case, we got there, and we've got 1 Neil Spellbomb to beat Dredge. They could also be on Consign to Memory. I don't know that we want Jace against Dredge. Do we want Force of Negations against Dredge? Flusterstorm, Duress. I could see like 1 Duress being good. Barrowgoyf seems decent at just kind of stonewalling their creature package, but maybe it's not good enough. And then, yeah, this is kind of a tough match. We can cut a Cabal Ritual. We kind of want to be Turbo here, though. So that doesn't strike me as the right call. We can cut a Consider. And again, the second Oracle could be good. Consider and a Swamp. Even though I've said that I shouldn't be cutting Swamp. Maybe Fawn is good. Like Fawn counters Faithless Looting quite well. Actually, very well. It counters Careful Study. It's also a 2-for-1 pitcher. I'm going to start without the Fawns. This might be like far too little sideboarding, but I kind of just want to turbo them as quickly as possible. This hand, unfortunately, is not going to cut it. This hand cuts it really nice. I didn't board out an Oracle, right? I think we put back... Oh, they could have Cabal Therapy. Why would we want Oracle in hand? Let's put Oracle on the bottom. Oh, I know precisely why we would want it in hand. We want it in hand because if they turn 1 Cabal Therapy Naming Force, then we would have an Oracle left in hand as a tuck card to the Brainstorm on the following turn. What does a Doomsday pile look like here too? Opponent's on a mull to 5. Probably has to be like a Brainstorm pile, so we have to hope that they fight the Doomsday on the stack and not have consigned to memories. Opponent keeps 5. What have they got for us? A Scalding Tarn, a Lion's Eye Diamond, crack Scalding Tarn. We gotta hope they have like a breakthrough here, and that we can just force a will to break through. 3 red for Faithless Looting. Cast Faithless Looting. I mean, let's play the tempo game here. I'm gonna force this Faithless Looting. I'm going to put Dark Ritual Doomsday on the stack, and I'm going to build a Brainstorm pile. I guess we don't actually need a Brainstorm pile here. We can just make a Underground Sea, Thassa's Oracle, Street Wraith, Edge. Underground Sea on the bottom, Thassa's Oracle on top, Edge, Wraith. Go ahead. Yeah, you're gonna dredge. You need to hit like 3 Creeping Chills off this Golgari Grave Troll. Narc Amoeba, and they scoop it up. All right, we are 3-1 going into the last match. Man, that second Reanimator match is going to come back to haunt us in the long run here potentially. But you know, you win some, you lose some, as they say. So far, the deck's been feeling really nice. We beat Delver, we beat Doomsday, and we beat Dredge. Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the 5th and final round. We're guaranteed the 3-2. I'm always satisfied with the 3-2, but the 4-1 would be sweet. How close are we to a 4-1 with this hand? This swamp hurts a lot here. I don't know that we can keep this hand. It just doesn't really do much. It does have Doomsday with Force of Will backup, but like, I don't know. This card, this card, this card, and this card all kind of worry me. So I'm actually going to ship this hand. This hand is not good, but for other reasons, still I think it's a fine keep. I could put Street Wraith on the bottom in this spot, honestly. I think I don't mind that. And we're just going to have to play a basic island on a Ponder and pass the turn to our opponent. We could just also not cast Ponder, wait to see what our opponent's on so we can make a more informed decision with it. But in this case, we are looking for Dark Ritual Doomsday. So I think it's fine to start digging towards those things right now. There's a Dark Ritual and another land. I don't mind both of those cards, so we will not use Ponder's ability. We'll keep the Dark Ritual hidden on top. If they do Thought Seize us here, they might think that we're on Show and Tell, which is kind of cool. Ancient Tomb. Are they playing Chalice into a Daze? Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Do we care about Agatha's Soul Cauldron? I don't think we do, but maybe we do. It is a combo piece, of course. But we have a lot of other ways to fight against that. So we're going to scoop up our Dark Ritual here. There's another land underneath it. We could fire a Brainstorm right now. Or we could just pass, surveil an end step. And Brainstorm in the end step too. Finding Doomsday there off Brainstorm would be nice, but I don't mind chilling one turn here. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is totally fine. We'll let that resolve. Then we have to decide what we want here. I think I'm going to go for the Undercity Sewers. We can quite safely put Swamp into the graveyard. We're really just looking for Doomsday here. Do not find Doomsday. So we can fire off a Brainstorm. Those did not really get us what we were looking for. This is where these like cans where you start with the cantrip stuff are so challenging to stitch together, and oftentimes they like just don't pan out. I mean, sometimes they do pan out. We were able to find one of the two things we were looking for. But now we've like let all of these things resolve because they don't matter if we find Doomsday. But this thing's going to accrue massive value. And at any moment, I guess a Phyrexian can just go into the graveyard and they can just kill us instantly. So we are going to have to force cards like Goblin Welder from here on out. It's an Urza Saga. There's the Goblin Engineer, which demands a Force of Will. Probably pitching Daze. There's a Painter's Servant. They've got us dead from so many angles. I'm going to fetch in the end step. Clear those Brainstorm cards. Take a draw. And even, yeah. I think this one's over, unfortunately. Really unfortunately. We just were not able to stitch together the cards that we were looking for. Can Dark Ritual out a Force of Will? They're buffing up their Painter's Servant. Flipping a Fable. Fable transforms. Oh, this matchup's so interesting. They do so much, right? They have this construct. Like, this game, I think, is over. But they have an Urza Saga, which can make constructs. They're going to gamble for their Phyrexian dude here. And we're just, like, priced into Force of Willing this. But yeah, I think we can probably just go to the next game. Let's see. How do we want to play against Painter? Jace Wielder of Mystery seems patently bad. Nil spell bombs, like, I guess interesting. I actually don't mind bringing in Barrow-goyfs here. They are going to put a lot of different card types in the graveyard, and Barrow-goyf is a big bad boy that can try to get things done. Um, Duress doesn't strike me as the worst idea. Personal tutor's not that good against grindstone. You could cut one Thoughtseize in favor of a daze. There's not really a lot that we want to be Thoughtseizing out of our opponent. Maybe we can actually just cut two, have one Duress to beat like Pyroblast in the pile. And then cut one more personal tutor. How many blue cards does that leave us with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 blue cards. It's not a lot of blue cards, but it is the number of blue cards that some Doomsday lists just run in their main deck, so we can probably swing it. Force of Will is not that good against a Pyroblast deck either. I could actually see trimming one Force for a Flusterstorm just as in conjunction with Duress as a way to beat a Pyroblast. Oh, and they might have Moon, so I actually think we want these Manamorphos as well. Maybe we cut one Cabal Writ. Submit like this. Huh. I'll keep this hand, I think. Can lead off on a Polluted Delta into an Underground Sea and cast Ponder. We've got a Barrogoyf, which is a really nice beater and potentially like a Doomsday to follow up with. The Agatha's Soul Cauldron combo is a little annoying. It's possible Barragoyf's just like not even good enough, but it is a strong card. It gives us another way to fight. Cast Ponder. Well, we will take another land. We'll pass. This Flusterstorm's not going to do a lot. Maybe that should just be a Thoughtseize. Like, it would be a lot better than Flusterstorm. They just have a Mountain Go, so nothing super explosive out of the gates, which is really nice for us. We are going to fire a Brainstorm off here. If they want to Pyroblast it, they can be our guest. Looks like they are going to blast it. Guess I could have Flusterstormed that blast, but this is fine. There's the Painter's Servant. Yikes, if they have Grindstone, we're just dead, huh? Hmm. Yeah, this isn't the spot where I like to be. Let's fire another Brainstorm. I'm gonna have to Flusterstorm this time. What does the Brainstorm give us? Wow, no lands. It's super rough. We do have a Ponder. We have double Force. We've drawn two blasts out of their hand, and we were able to utilize our Flusterstorm. Here comes the Urza Saga, which is going to be a nightmare even for a Barrogoyf. I feel this one's slipping away. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. They did have to lose the city on that exchange, and they didn't use the mana from the city. Can we ponder? Lotus Petal's pretty sweet. Everything is blue. Draw Petal. Pass the turn. I don't know if I want to be going. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, we're just dead next turn to the Urza Saga. So I stacked that ponder wrong and now we've lost. Sure. I thought I put the edge underneath, but even if we had an edge, there's not much going on here. We have no way to remove this and no way to counter this ability. I guess they have to go for the activation. I'm just gonna pass. There's no point in putting Doomsday on the stack here. They're gonna make a construct. Wow, like we were just too slow in both games. We just didn't do anything. There's no way they don't go for Grindstone and activate here, right? I passed by doing nothing to maybe psych them out, but we know that Edge is on top. Whoa. They make a construct. Do they just have Spirit Guide? Oh, we can't even Manamorphose. We're dead to Grindstone next turn. Do we start with Manamorphose? We just need to draw like either. Well, land would do it too. Let's go black, black. We did draw Lotus Petal. No way. No way. Are they playing with us? Or did we just psych them out? No way. I mean, we have to go for the gusto here, right? It has to be a brainstorm pile. We just can't pass the turn. Brainstorm, Thassa's Oracle, Lion's Eye Diamond, Consider, Edge of Autumn or Street Wraith. Wait a minute. Just wait on 1 minute here. What if we cycle into Street Wraith? Street Wraith into Brainstorm. Brainstorm is in hand. And then we draw Petal, Petal, Thoracle. Put back personal tutor Barogoyf. I actually like this file better because then we get Force of Will. Yeah, let's do this. I really hope that this works as I think it does. And if they've been very rudely sandbagging a Simian Spirit Guide, that is unfortunate for us. But are you kidding me? Wow. I want to say all that thinking for nothing, but I'll just say GG's instead. Crazy. I wonder what the rationale was there on why they waited. Insane. Well, it was a 3-2 at the end of the day. Um, Man, I actually got excited there for a second, but it was all false excitement. Opponent was playing with their food and we were on the plate. Um, I think I like the deck overall. I want to try it again. Maybe we'll do a double video here. Wasn't particularly happy with how some of the sideboarding mapped out. Uh, Painter's a hard matchup in my experience, and so is Blue-Black Reanimator. So those losses are crazy, like to be expected. Doomsday, coin flip. Um, Dredge seems like a fine matchup, and then Delver's hard, but we did manage to beat it. But yeah, I guess another league, another 3-2. We'll be back for more in the future. Thank you.